Ever wonder why some teams seem to breeze through projects while others struggle? Today, I'm revealing 3 shocking tips that will completely transform your team's productivity. Let's dive in. Did you know that more than 50% of employees are unsure of their team's objectives? That's a recipe for disaster. Years ago, I worked with a company whose team was underperforming, and while I was trying to figure out why, I noticed a consistent pattern. The leader constantly complained about his team. See, he was annoyed that they never hit their goals, frustrated with the amount of effort they put forth, and upset with their lack of communication. Guess what? The employees complained about him too. I also, at the same time, had an opportunity to work with a company that was growing like crazy. Everyone had amazing energy and seemed happy. As I got more involved, I noticed another similar pattern. The leader constantly raved about his team. See, they delivered projects on time, their quality of work was off the charts, and they came up with ideas and strategies that made the company better without him having to get involved. So this begs the question, what was the difference? It comes down to 3 things. Tip 1, communicate a vision and co-create goals with your team. See, the leader of the wildly successful company was constantly communicating his vision and made it a practice for all his leaders to co-create goals with their teams. See, a vision creates a common purpose. It removes ambiguity in what we're trying to achieve. And the best way to accomplish that is to first and foremost articulate why. Your team will be more inclined to commit to something if they understand why it's important. Also, keep it short and memorable. See, people remember things that are simple. For example, Netflix's vision is to entertain the world. I don't know about you, but that's pretty easy to keep top of mind. Next, involve the team in defining goals. When your team is involved in setting the goals, they will take more ownership because they were part of the process from the beginning. Next, make goals specific and measurable. Openly discuss with your team, hey, how we're going to track, measure, and monitor success. Again, this pulls them in and drives buy-in. And lastly, constantly review and adjust your goals. See, you want to reinforce the vision and goals by making them an integral part of every meeting. This may sound like common sense, but you know what? Common sense is not always common practice. I say that because the underperforming team that I mentioned earlier had no idea why the vision was important. Many of them couldn't even articulate it when I asked about it. When I asked about their goals, many just shrugged and said they were handed down to them, and they had no idea how they were going to track and measure their progress. When I asked them how often they talk about them, they said, I don't know, maybe once or twice a year. They couldn't even remember. I mean, seriously? Let's think about that for a second. Conversely, the leader of the high-performing company that I mentioned was constantly discussing the vision and goals at every town hall meeting. More importantly, he spoke about what his team was doing, how they were doing it, and why it was necessary. There was no ambiguity regarding how someone's role fit into the overall vision. Can you feel the difference between both? Let's now explore the next game-changing tip. Tip 2, everything is not a priority. As business leaders, we tend to convince our teams that everything is important. Let me remind you that everything is not a priority, and you know what? All priorities are not created equal. You are responsible for ensuring your team doesn't mistake activity for achievement. Minor things are essential, but you know what? They're minor things. See, many employees often complain about a lack of time when their lack of focus is the real issue. They waste precious time on irrelevant tasks, what I refer to as the minor things that have minimal impact. The result is little progress is made on the most important tasks, what I refer to as the major things. So the question is, how can you ensure you don't confuse your team with multiple competing priorities? Start by separating what you ask your team to do into major and minor focus areas. Next, make it a religious practice to define and communicate the top priorities every quarter and then rally your team around those priorities. See, there's 3 benefits to this approach. First, alignment. See, this keeps everyone Focus on what's most important. Second is accountability. It provides clear benchmarks to measure progress and success over a defined period of time. And third is adaptability. Quarterly reviews are an opportunity to reassess and readjust to the changing business needs of your business, right? See, I have found, personally for me and those I work with, that quarterly boundaries are the most effective. Why? Because teams are more focused and motivated when they know their priorities each quarter. It's almost like it's just the right time interval to make significant progress. Prioritization is crucial, but keeping the team's momentum needs another vital ingredient. Let's explore that next, as it's the big one. So tip 3 is take the handcuffs off, right? Did you know that companies where employees feel empowered are 50% more productive? Take Google's time policy. That's a classic example. In the early 2000s, Google allowed their employees to dedicate 20% of their time to pursue projects that they're passionate about. This initiative is rooted in the belief that allowing employees to explore interests can lead to groundbreaking innovations. Google's time policy has resulted in some of the most successful products. Gmail, as an example, right? Google's widely used email service was born from this initiative. So was Google News and AdSense. These success stories demonstrate the power of unleashing employee creativity and highlight how personal passion can translate into products that benefit millions of users worldwide. Now, while the formal implementation of the 20% time policy that Google rolled out has evolved over the years, but it's the spirit of innovation and empowerment that continues to influence their culture and product development approach. So here are 3 ways for you to empower your team. 1, delegate effectively and avoid micromanaging. If someone can do something 80% as good as you, delegate it. However, don't just delegate the task. Delegate the responsibility for the result. That's more empowering. 2, give your team the freedom to experiment. Nothing of value was ever created perfectly the first time. Encourage your team to have a lab mentality and teach them how to adapt to changing conditions. In my opinion, adaptability is the most underrated skill that we need to teach our teams. And 3, recognize and reward innovation and initiative. You gotta catch people exhibiting leadership and courage so it becomes contagious throughout your business. If you follow the 3 tips I shared today, I promise you will see dramatic change in your team's productivity. But what about some common pitfalls to avoid? Here's the 3 big ones. 1, overloading your team with too many goals. 2, turning everything into a fire drill. And 3, micromanaging instead of empowering. If you found these tips valuable, imagine what a personalized coaching session could do for you or someone on your team. If you want to build a leadership brand that accelerates your impact and influence and increases your influence in 90 days, or develop leaders on your team who can take things off your plate, click the link in the description and schedule an exploratory call. Okay, if you like what I shared today, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment below related to your business, and of course subscribe. Because each week I'm sharing content to help you and your team embrace change, focus your efforts, and accelerate results. Remember this, you're just one idea away. We'll talk to you soon.